Good evening. I'm so glad you're with us tonight because this is an extremely interesting topic that we're going to be dealing with, and we want to prevent you from having any monetary loss. We're going to be talking about fraud and scams tonight with Bryan Nugen, our elder law attorney here, and we've both been sharing how many situations or fraud or scam things that have come up in our own lives. So we're going to share some of the most common ones that are going on now. And Bryan has some suggestions to help you help yourself. How about that? Hi, Bryan.
Hi, Sandy. How are you? Good to see you.
I love this. I just love this.
Thank you.
Well, I have to tell you, the last time Bryan was here, we started talking about this after the show and just talk, like, this is pretty exciting. And then since then, we both have had situations where we've potentially been scammed.
That's true.
And people are scammed every day, and we don't want to make a derogatory comment to you because scammers are becoming so good that even the most trusting person easily falls into those traps. Okay, Bryan, let's start out by just talking about what is elder fraud or elder scam.
So when the FBI is determining an elderly person that's been scammed, they're looking at folks that are age 65 and older. So when we're talking about elder fraud or elder scams, that's when someone has spent money on something, has had money taken from them for a purpose that they didn't intend, or they didn't recognize that it wasn't for their betterment or for their benefit. Somebody's taking advantage of them. So when we're looking at elder scams, senior scams, 65 and above, and they have had money taken from them, finances taken from them, and they didn't intend for it to go as it did actually go.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know. I think we're Americans are a very trusting society, and especially the older generation. I mean,
Right.
I can remember back when my parents would just. You believe everybody,
Right.
anybody that came to the door or whatever, and you didn't even take your car keys inside at night, and you didn't lock the door.
That's
I mean,
true.
it was a trusting world, but unfortunately, the next generation is beginning to realize not quite so much.
So you're hitting a great point, Sandy, and that's that the group that's being scammed, those elderly, over 65, they're from a generation where you're polite to people, you answer the phone, you respond to the knock on the door. And maybe you're a little naive about cell phones. You might be a little naive about how computers work, or when something you receive something in the mail, you've seen it in writing, and as a result, you believe it is true that you really have been made this offer,
Yep.
or there's a phone call from someone and you misunderstand who they may be, and you're answering questions. So you've got this population that is aging, that's used to being very polite, answering all the phone calls. When my grandmother was living, I would say to her, "Don't answer the phone, Grandma. Those those are not real phone calls." But she couldn't help herself. She just wanted to answer that phone every time it rang.
That was proper etiquette.
That's right.
Well, actually, phone is a big issue.
True.
And I do understand. I know the Better Business Bureau has said, if you get a scam or fraud call, if you answer the phone, doggone it, you stay on the list, because to them that means, even if you don't talk to them, if you just pick up the phone, it means somebody lives there. We're going to keep them on our list.
And those calls are good. They will use robocalls. So if they'll send a robocall out to several numbers at one time. If you pick up, then they've got you. They know that that's a valid line, number one. Number two, they're also recording. Are you there? Are you there? And you're answering, yes, I am. Who is this? And you're giving your name. You're providing that information. And the calling companies are excellent as well. When you look, if you have a cell phone or you have a reader on your landline that indicates the number that it's coming from, it may be coming from your own area code. So they're coming from an area code, and you believe it to be accurate. You think that it is local. Oh, it's local. It's okay for me to answer the phone. It isn't necessarily local. It isn't necessarily a good thing. So phone scams are a very common way for folks to be taken advantage of.
I like that you mentioned that it may be our own area code.
Yep.
I know I have a caller ID on my home phone.
Yes.
And then also with Comcast, on TV, when the home phone rings, up in the corner of the TV screen, there's the name and the phone number of who's calling. And that's great. You can decide, do I want to get up off the couch and go out and answer that or not?
If you don't recognize the number,
don't answer.
Send it to voicemail, screen it. You have the opportunity to give them a call back if it really is somebody that was supposed to get a hold of you. Most likely, they're either not going to leave a message, or it will be a message that doesn't make sense. It's nonsensical. And don't return those phone calls. You don't need to call them back. But what happens is that folks, too, as they age, they may be lonely. They're looking for social interaction.
They're happy to talk to anybody.
That's right. So when that phone is ringing, it's, oh, there may be somebody for me to talk to. And so if they're isolated and they're not around others, they're looking for that social outlet. So that happens very frequently as well with seniors. The phrase that they're using is senior orphans. And what that means is you may not have children. You may not have family close to you. You may be alienated from your family. So you're more isolated. And with social isolation becomes a little bit more vulnerability. So you have to be very sensitive to that, and we have to look out for those folks in our lives that may be those senior orphans where they don't have that immediate family. Maybe their kids are out of town, or their kids are disconnected, or they don't have children. So those are the folks that are really the most vulnerable within that senior community.
Brian, how do they know, and they know that you're going to maybe be in that category of isolated seniors? What do you call them?
So the phrase that they're using is senior orphans.
Senior orphans,
they're independent. Now, I do want to say something about, it's not just seniors that it happens to. Now, this population, it's, FBI said in 2023, $3.6 billion were taken from seniors. In the first 3 or 4 or 5 months of 2024, that number had grown by 300 million. It grows every year. And
why?
I think that the scammers are getting better and better. And frankly, we have an aging population. It's the biggest bubble of our population that's growing.
That's true.
65 and above. It's our biggest population that's growing. It's a vulnerable population. And I think, too, that folks, as they're aging, if they found themselves in a situation where they were taken advantage of, possibly they lost some money, they were scammed, they're embarrassed to tell. So even the FBI is saying, despite all that money that we know was lost, even more was lost. And why is that? Because people too are too embarrassed to admit that took place. I was taken advantage of. I lost money. I was saying to you before we went on the air tonight, this week, just this week, there were 4 instances that affected me personally. I got a letter in the mail from it appeared to be a brokerage firm, and you would know them. It's a name that would be very common, indicating that I was so fortunate that I had access to these funds now. Of course, it's nothing, throw it away. Everybody's getting the text message right now about having past due tolls on the toll road. I received that text message just this week. Even in my own family, speaking with a family member just tonight, that they had a phone number appear on their computer screen, and rather on their TV screen. They were having troubles getting into their TV, and they called the phone number. And the individual said to them, you need to go to CVS or Home Depot, and you need to make this charge. You need to send these funds. So the family member attempted doing that twice, and then at some point during that process realized, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. So
Brian probably would not advise.
Brian would not be happy with that. And the family member indicated to me, you've told me before, don't do this. So this had happened a week and a half ago. I learned about it today. But that goes to the point of people being embarrassed to say, this happened. And one would never expect with somebody that close to you that it would happen, but it does. Senior scams are an ongoing issue.
Brian, I'm interested in any recourse or if you can get money back that you've been scammed for. Let's say your family member did get that charge through.
The one good thing,
they get it back?
If you're using, so this is the same conversation I had. If you're using a credit card, at least you can reach out to the credit card company and indicate if you're aware that this isn't a real charge, please block that charge. But if you're using a debit card, If you're using a money order and sending money off, if you're using a cashier's check and sending that off, that you don't have a recourse for that.
Really?
Yeah, the money's gone. It's cash. So you've mailed it off, you've given it to them. Yeah. It is common in elder law practices that folks are taken advantage of, not just by small amounts, but by very large amounts. Oftentimes they're called romance
the
scams.
romance scams.
Right. Somebody is showing me affection, and it usually starts out small. It will be they're just having a conversation, maybe over the texting or a phone call, and then eventually I need $10 or $20 for groceries for my children or my grandchildren. So then they feel responsible.
And it's often a foreign country.
It's often a foreign country,
Almost
not always. But yes, it's often a foreign country. And then those requests for money, as you've developed a relationship with that person, you've developed trust with that person. It was just a small amount I was helping with. Over time, it grows. And so there is a reason to try and protect those seniors if they're being taken advantage of on an ongoing basis through sometimes guardianships that are established to protect them, and frankly, against themselves, because they're so willing to allow those funds to go. And they're losing their retirement. They're taking mortgages out.
Yeah.
They're borrowing money from family and friends to make these payments. It's very sad.
That is very sad.
Truly.
I mean, I've seen a number of talk shows on TV that are the romance scams.
Yep.
That, and there have been some men, of course, but usually it's elderly women.
I got to tell you, in my practice,
they're really hoping there's still
something
somebody
there.
out there.
In my practice, I have seen it both in men and women.
Really?
I can't say that I've seen it isolated to women. Now, perhaps the show that you were watching, it would indicate that it's primarily women. It could be, I don't know that. I will say in my own experience, I have seen it both in men and in women. And these are large dollar amounts that are being taken.
I mean, there are people that have lost their entire retirement
Everything.
funds. Everything.
It's very sad.
I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And because they're embarrassed, they're not necessarily sharing with their children. And they've done it once, they've done it twice, now they're committed. And now it's almost as if you feel like it has to be true, right? It has to be true. And they don't want to share with the kids. When the kids find out, they're shocked that it happened. But don't be naive that it couldn't happen to the children as well. Younger people are scammed
Often
as well.
as well.
It's not just folks 65 and over. But on Life Ahead, we'd like to talk about folks that are maybe a little bit more mature and how it could affect them.
Yeah,
for sure.
For sure. Okay, so then, other than the examples you mentioned, there's no way to get money back. I mean, the people, whether it's a romance scam or
if the money's
telephone
gone, the money.
scam.
Now, you could contact Adult Protective Services, and perhaps Adult Protective Services would be able to pursue the individual if you could identify them. Criminal charges could be filed, but generally, to collect that money back is not happening. Yeah.
That's pretty sad.
It is sad.
You know, Bryan, you mentioned you had several examples, and I brought some that I've just gotten as well. One of these postcards was last week, and then I just got this one in the mail today. And it's from the same company, but it's all worded differently. And what it basically says is that I've won $500 or $500 dollars that I can use at Amazon or Walmart or whatever. And I need to call this number to claim my prize.
Yep.
Now, I'm not going to, obviously, but what would happen if I do? What's probably going to be on the other end?
Congratulations, great, good for you, you got this. We can't wait to get that out to you. So let's arrange now so we can make a deposit into your account.
Yeah.
So we need just a little bit of information from you so that we can make sure to forward this $500 to you. What's your name, full name? Great. Where do you bank? And what's your account number? Fantastic. And your date of birth.
Your mother's maiden name.
Your mother's maiden name, date of birth. If they can get your Social Security, they're wanting all of that information from you: name, date of birth, Social Security number, your address. They're wanting that information so that they can take advantage of your credit and take further advantage of you. And once it begins, it
use
just
that
snowballs.
information to drain my account.
That's exactly right. That's exactly.
You know
right.
what? Here, you can have them. I'm not going to.
Thanks, Sandy. You saved Sandy.
I just gave you $500.
Appreciate it.
And then on my phone, I have gotten two things, one today, one yesterday. It's amazing, like how, since we talked about it last month, it's like, wow, I'm just so used to not answering the phone or throwing that junk mail away. But I got a text today that said that, let's see, there's a headhunter.
Oh, yes.
Headhunter.
Yep.
You've probably gotten those
I
as
have.
well.
Yep.
And I get them about once a month, and it says the lady's name, whatever, and according to the recommendations and whatever, we know you're a valued employee, so we want to offer you the opportunity to work from home.
Sure.
Work from home.
Oh, yes.
And let's see, I could make between 200 and 2,000 a day.
Fantastic.
How about that?
So at the end of the day, it's the smell test. Does it smell? Is this appropriate?
Yeah.
Stop, take a beat, think about what's being presented to you. Does that sound realistic? Does it sound realistic that somebody in this instance is going to be paying you $2,000 a day to work from home? If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Kind of in that same vein, there are lottery scams where folks are indicated, or they receive something in the mail, or there's a phone call, they've won the lottery, and they're going to be getting $5,000, $10,000. But first, before we can send that money to you, we need to have you pay the tax on that. So there's going to be tax that's due on that lottery winning. So if you would please let us know your information and let us know your account number. We'll draw the money from that account so that you can pay the taxes that are due on this. And then within so many days, we'll make a deposit.
Big check.
I've also seen it where there's an actual check that's mailed to them. They deposit it. Folks think that it's real. Immediately thereafter, they're sending a check off to pay those taxes because they just deposited that X dollar check into their account, and the bank, in essence, is waiting for it to process. It's not a real check. It's a scam. If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Money does not fall from the sky because you're a good person. Unfortunately, you're taken advantage of by those folks.
Exactly. This other one that I got, and this came in an email. I have not gotten this one before, but it says that I have my subscription has been renewed for something. I don't know what it was, for 3 years.
Oh, boy.
For 3 years. And the payment is $799. And the tiniest little print at the bottom says, if you feel this is wrong, or I don't know, whatever, then call this number or whatever to unsubscribe. But like, people have probably said, if you have a lot of expenses, maybe you think, oh, that's probably some magazine I forgot that I'm getting or something.
Right. So that's, again, if you're looking at it, it doesn't sound familiar. I can't imagine I paid $700, $800 for a magazine subscription. Yeah. Stop, take a beat, really think about it and process it. What's important, too, is for folks to surround themselves with others that they trust, that are trustworthy people, that if something comes up and it sounds too good to be true, if they're getting a phone call, they're getting harassed to send money or requested to send money, reach out to that person that is that trusted person in your life, that trusted contact. And what we encourage our seniors to do is to establish those relationships with trusted people before they get to the point of really not quite understanding what's going on, before they're really especially vulnerable. You want to establish those relationships early on. One of the suggestions, too, is to make sure that you stay socially active and you're around other people that you can talk about. Are you here? Have you heard this before? Does this sound genuine?
Yeah.
So you're not by yourself and in your own thoughts and thinking, gosh, somebody is reaching out to me. They're showing me affection. Somebody's calling me. It's so nice to have someone to talk to on a regular basis. Yeah. There's an instance where a gentleman was being contacted by allegedly a young woman, and she had small children, and she was struggling to pay for the groceries and put food on the table. So he was sending small dollar amounts, and so that process was started to get more and more money from an individual.
As it went along, the amount she needed became greater. More.
So the person had a good heart, was doing, felt that they were doing a good thing. They were lonely, maybe. And at the end of the day, though, that wasn't the situation. They were being taken advantage of. So you want to surround yourself with good people.
Okay.
You want to try and stay socially active. Have a group with whom you can speak and ask, does this sound real? Have you heard this? Some suggestions are that even with your Social Security, you can have a Social Security payee, a designee. So that person could collect your Social. Again, a trusted person would be able to receive the funds so that you're not being taken advantage of there. Sometimes folks are encouraged to move into a community that's maybe a 55 and older community. So you have folks that are around you You have the community itself may be protected, who can come and go,
Right.
so that you're not taking advantage of.
There's
as
probably
much.
communication. I mean, they're sharing with the rest
Yep.
of the people in the community. This scam is going on.
Exactly right.
Thomas. Hi, Thomas. Thomas is watching us here tonight on Life Ahead. Thomas, you have a question for Bryan?
I did. I'm a small business owner, and I've had several different people with like a deep Somalian accent telling me that they have a home in the Fort Wayne area, and they want 4 or 5 ceiling fans installed. Do I accept checks? Well, first time I gave them my address, they mailed me a check in advance and paid me, and somehow my bank said the check was a fraud, but they try that a lot, like, you know, $1,700, $3,200 check or whatever, and somehow explain how that whole scam works, because it seems like, you know, they're wanting me to do the work, and I go to an address, nobody's there, or they're never there with the key, and
well,
that's about enough. But
sure. So, Thomas, first of all, I'm sad that that's happened to you. But I think what you should gather from tonight's conversation is that it happens very frequently. And to a lot of people, it's not just you. This is something that's happening on a very regular basis. Sandy's giving you examples of experiences she's had. I'm giving you examples of things that have happened with me and within my family, with clients. It's very common. So thank you very much for saying that that's happened to you. But it would be uncommon. So we're going to think about that situation. It would be uncommon for someone to say, before I've met you, before you've come and done the work, I'm going to send you payment. So what happens is, so that's the first step. Does this make sense? Am I typically paid in advance of doing that handyman work that you're referencing, hanging in those ceiling fans? No, typically folks would pay you after you've done the work. So that's our first thing that we want to look at. Secondly, what they're wanting you to do is deposit that check. You deposit the check, and sometimes what happens is people will draw against that check, right? So that, oh, it must be good. This check is good, so I'm going to draw against it. Take that money. I trust them. Normally, with the check being deposited, there's something that goes along with it. You're going to be returning funds to them. So I'm paying you a check. So you've told me the fan is $500 to install. I'm going to send you a $1,700 check. Just cut me a check back for the difference between the $500 and the $1,700 check that I've sent to you.
Yeah.
And you've made the check. It's deposited. The bank is waiting for it to clear. In the interim, you're sending payment to them. So that's oftentimes what happens with the check schemes, the lottery schemes. All of that is kind of in the same vein. Yeah.
It's so sad. Thomas, thank you so much for calling tonight and sharing your story. And as Bryan mentioned, probably every one of you that's watching tonight have had some sort of a situation, whether it's, you know, mail or phone call or whatever, that is an attempted scam.
True.
How much money, you talked about romance schemes, how much is lost every year for that?
Literally billions.
Billions?
Yeah.
Do you know, like, just scams in general, how much money's lost of those a year?
The number that I have from the FBI is $3.4 billion in 2023. So I only have partial numbers for 2024, obviously nothing for 2025 yet. But I think, too, we should think ahead, not only how much money is being lost, but how else can we protect ourselves?
Yeah.
So one of the things that you may consider doing, we talk on this show, you've heard other attorneys talk, you've heard myself talk about trusts. There are living trusts, just a basic living trust that could be prepared, that not only are you the trustee, perhaps a trusted person in your life is also a trustee. You have those trusts. Sometimes we build in something called a trust advisor, where they can remove somebody if they were taking advantage of their position as a trustee. But you want to build something where somebody else can step in, can help protect your money, and can be a gatekeeper to those funds being lost. So first is always to think about it. Is this right? If it's too good to be true? If I'm the small business owner and somebody's sending me a check for $1,700 before I've done any work and they're asking me to send a little bit money back to them, that isn't normal. That's not normal behavior. So we want to listen to that phone call. Is it normal in my life? Have I had someone reach out to me out of the blue that I've never met before saying that they love me and they need my help and they have small children or those types of things going on? So surround yourself with good people.
Okay.
Don't isolate yourself. get those documents set up in advance so that if somebody needs to help you, they can help you out.
And share your information, like Thomas shared his story tonight.
Yes.
If you have something going on, like we've both talked about how we've gotten, let's see, was it text? Is that how it came?
I received
or
a text.
Phone message?
I received a text regarding toll this week. I received a letter. You've received apparently 2 texts or 2 email, some postcards in the mail. Family member was on the television, what phone number to call regarding getting their TV working again. They're very clever. They're very clever.
Very clever. And the toll road one, by the way, is very common right now. And that's when they're going to call you or text you and tell you you owe X number of dollars for toll road fees for 80/90. And I haven't been on 80/90 for 5 years, so I knew that one was a scam. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have learned a lot here that might protect you. Bryan, thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Sandy. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you next Wednesday night at 7:30 right here. No scam.
No scam.
No scam.
The preceding program on PBS Fort Wayne was made possible in part by
Nugen Law, focusing on estate planning and elder care law, emphasizing independence and quality of life. Serving Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, and Florida. More information at nugenlaw.com.